All right, hey everybody. This week we are going to take a break, take a breather from the regular readings and lectures and quizzes, just to introduce and focus on the final paper formal essay assignment. And again, just to be clear, this is an assignment that is not due until the end of the term. Sunday, December 13 is the official due date for this. So don't feel like you need to crank this out this week. However, I would encourage you to get a jump on it this week, as I'm not asking you to read or anything else or take any quizzes. So this would be a good time to kind of do some of the legwork for this assignment this week. All right, so what I want to do is I want to walk through the assignment itself, and then also point you to some resources on the Blackboard site that will help you track down things that will be very useful for you. So if you go into the folder for this week, you'll find this prompt, which I have up here, the guidelines for the essay. And what I want you to do for this formal paper is you're going to choose one of the living religions that we've studied or will study. Again, we have a handful of them yet to come, of course. But any of the religions that's on tap for this semester, choose one. And then within the bounds of that particular religion, choose a myth, a narrative, a legend considered sacred to that religion. Again, wide open, as long as it's connected to that religion in some specific kind of way. 2, choose a particular temple, synagogue, mosque, church, kind of sacred architecture, some building that's also associated with that religion. And here I mean very specifically, not just like a generic mosque, but a specific mosque or a specific temple. And then 3rd, choose an artifact, maybe some kind of ritual object or an artwork, a statue that's also sacred to the worshipers of that religion, or which expresses particular aspects of that religion. So for example, say if you wanted to choose Judaism as your umbrella religion here, you could choose the famous story of Abraham and Isaac, the near sacrifice of Isaac by his father Abraham. Number 2, you could choose Temple Emmanuel, the famous modern Art Deco temple in New York City. And then number 3, for a ritual object, the shofar, which is the sacred ram's horn. So again, this is not prescriptive. These are just kind of to give you an example. So any sacred story from Jewish scriptures, any synagogue from around the world that looks interesting to you, and any kind of ritual object would work for this. Just the only thing I'm asking for is that they all connect to one particular religion. All right, so this essay is due. There's a link for you to upload it on the Blackboard site in the folder for this week, 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, December 13th. So it's kind of a 3-part essay, and you can think about it. You can think of this as kind of 3 mini essays in one. Might be a good way to organize your thoughts. So what I have for each of these categories: myth, narrative, legend, temple, synagogue, mosque, church, place of worship, artifact, artwork. I have a few questions for you to consider. And what I want you to recognize right off is that I'm not expecting you to say for under part 1 to answer all of these questions. These are really just kind of suggestions to kind of get you thinking. And if you want to use these questions, I would say zero in on 2, 3 at the most to organize your essays. Don't feel like you need to kind of cover everything. I'm not expecting that. But the first one, briefly summarize the narrative and make it clear where it comes from. That's kind of a given. In what ways does the story reflect core aspects or beliefs of your chosen religion? Do we find similar stories in other religious traditions? What, if any, archetypes are at play in this story? What does the story reveal about this religion's concept of the divine? What does the story reveal about this religion's beliefs about the place of humanity in the world? So use these as you will, and be as specific, again, as always, be as specific as you can. Because there's not a ton of space within this paper to dig into these things. So jump to the analysis. And then similar kinds, I'm not going to bother read. You can read these for yourself. But for part 2, you're choosing your physical place of worship, your temple, your synagogue, your mosque. Again, a very specific one somewhere in the world. And then some questions that you might ask yourself and try to answer in part 2. And then in the 3rd part, your artifact, your artwork. Some questions too to how to consider that, contextualize it, compare and contrast it. To close out the paper. In terms of format, what I'm looking for is kind of a final piece, final draft of kind of 8 to 10 pages. So you might think about it, so you have these 3 sections. Think of it as kind of 3 to 4 pages per section, and that together would kind of put you in this suggested page range. Double spaced, 12-point font, and these pages only refer to kind of your written analysis. So your title page, bibliography does not count in the final page count. I do want a title page. And then your first page of analysis, your text, the paper itself, would be on the first page after the title page. And on your title page, give me a nice, creative, engaging title. I love a good creative title. Your name, the name of the class, my name, the date, this usual stuff you put on a title page. Primary and secondary sources that you'll use properly formatted and cited on a bibliography page at the end of the paper. Again, that does not count towards the 8 to 10 pages here. And in terms of sources, primary sources I think would be fairly easy for you to track down. The course textbook can be very helpful with that. There's so many things online, of course, that are readily accessible. But for secondary sources, I want you to consult at least 2 secondary scholarly sources for this paper. And what I mean by that is this would be a journal article, a book chapter, a book, something that's passed some kind of editorial peer review. It's past some kind of level of expertise to be published in an academic setting. So what that does, that rules out a lot of just kind of loose web sources. So what I don't want you to do is just kind of scour the web and find somebody, somebody's blog who's written something about, Islam or whatever. I mean, it might be a good place to start, but I want to see legitimate sources in your bibliography. So this rules out things like Wikipedia. In the humanities, never cite Wikipedia in your paper. Now, Wikipedia, a really good Wikipedia page can be a wonderful source, and we'll have a great bibliography, at the bottom of that page. And when I'm doing my own research projects, I will often start with Wikipedia and see what they got. But I'll go to the bibliography because that's where you're going to find, the legitimate secondary sources. But Wikipedia, because it's anybody can add to it, it can be very good, but it's not considered a legitimate academic source. So that means avoid just kind of loose articles that you find on the web that haven't passed some kind of level. I'll show you in a moment on the course Blackboard site where to find some of these things. It's very, very easy to find legitimate sources. Each page must be numbered. If it's often very useful to say, like with your artifact or your artwork, it might be something I'm not familiar with. So if you want to put an appendix at the end of your paper with some images, so I like to have things I can look at as I'm reading your paper. It's very useful. So if that applies, an image of your temple or your synagogue or your artwork at the end, but I'm not requiring it. And then, title page, any appendices, bibliography, they don't count towards a required page length. I have some links here that you can use for finding secondary sources, but the best thing to do, and citation help too, the best thing to do is just go to the course website. So if you go to the course Blackboard site and you click on this link, Research Resources here, it takes you to this page here. And these first 5 links are all searchable databases to find legitimate secondary sources for your topic. So I put this one at the top because I think it's the most germane, useful one from GRCC. GRCC Philosophy and Religion Databases. So if you click that, it takes you to a number of databases here that are keyword searchable and will take you to, for the most part, PDFs that you can download onto your device or print up at no charge as long as you log in as a GRCC student with your information. And the great news about this, anything that you find on these databases is a legitimate secondary source. It's been published in a journal, it's been published in a book, it's passed that level of peer review, and is a legitimate source for your bibliography. So use these, engage with them, use their information, make it clear, of course, when you're using somebody else's argument or bouncing your argument off somebody else's, but go here first. And these other links too are very good, if a little bit more loose. There's tons of stuff out there, and it's never been easier to find secondary sources in kind of humanities research projects. At the bottom, I have this link called Night Sight. This is actually from Calvin University down the road. Very useful. So if you're not familiar with, or if you're kind of struggling, how should my bibliography work and what format am I using? This one is just you click on Night Sight, and what you do, you simply just plug in all your information. The name of the author, the name of the book, or the journal article, or whatever. You choose your formatting if you're using MLA, APA, or Chicago, which are the three main academic formatting styles. And then you hit submit, and it'll spit out what it should look like in a bibliography, and you just cut it and paste it into your program. It's never been easier. So in terms of citation and in terms of citing, I do ask that I'm not picky. You can choose the style that you like. MLA, APA, or Chicago are the main ones. I'm not going to require one over the other, just as long as you stay consistent. So if you choose MLA, stick with MLA, APA, Chicago throughout your paper. All right, so let me know if you have questions. If you want to bounce ideas, or if you're having trouble finding things, I'm pretty good at tracking stuff down, and I find it fun. So don't hesitate to ask if you want to. It's just say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this story and this place of worship and this artifact. What do you think? Just shoot me an email. All right, see you soon.